The big story of my wife's secret infidelity and the scandalous long-term divorce from her. We were in a relationship from a very young age and stayed together for 23 years. Just to provide some context, she had issues stemming from her father's death when she was 6, which led to attachment issues. Early on, we both knew a mutual guy who had tried to date her before me. She rejected him, stating that as a virgin, she wasn't someone he would pursue without the possibility of sex. Fast forward, we met at a party at her brother's place. I didn't think much of her and actually thought my cousin would be interested in her. Nothing happened, and we all went home. However, she sought me out, and we started dating. We eventually became intimate within about 2 weeks, despite her being a devout Catholic. A few months later, I returned home from work to find her completely drunk. She told me that she had been to his sister's house with him. She claimed that they had a few drinks and that her drink might have been mixed too strong, causing her to be completely inebriated. I had an issue with this because I knew his intentions and so did she, but she went over there regardless. This is the same guy who had engaged in sexual activity with a girl in our bathroom one night while drinking. Anyway, she maintained that nothing happened there that night, and after drinking the cocktail, they sat around watching TV with him, his sister, and her boyfriend. Afterward, she somehow made it home and called her friend to come look after her. After sleeping for about an hour, she came to my place. After persistently asking her for the truth over the next few weeks, she later changed her story slightly and thought she might have been slipped a roofie. However, she still insisted that she remembered everything well enough to know that nothing happened. A week later, she showed up at his place and confronted him about this incident, blaming him for everything and causing me to become upset with her and wanting to confront him physically. I never said anything like this to her, and she was the one who informed me about it. Fast forward a few more years, and we were at my friend's place for New Year's Eve, just having a few drinks. I sensed something going on between her and another guy after he put his hand on her leg. I went outside for a cigarette, and my friend whose house it was went upstairs at the same time. When I was done, I quietly sneaked back into the house and down the stairs to the basement. I jumped down half the stairs and saw them close to each other with their faces near one another. Once they heard me land on the floor, they quickly moved away from each other. I asked them what they were doing, and their response was that they were just stacking the card deck as we were playing a drinking game. I didn't believe it, and we left for the night. After pressing her more at home, she finally admitted to kissing this guy, but then she retracted her statement again. After our first daughter, she got pregnant again when our oldest was just 1 year old. When she told me she was expecting our second daughter, I was shocked. I was surprised because we had only been intimate once that month, and it was protected and around 4 days before her period. While it was possible, it struck me as very odd. We had a few quiet years, to the best of my knowledge. Then, her sister's on-again, off-again boyfriend came to our house supposedly to see her sister one weekend. When he showed up, I was upstairs finishing up work for the week. They all started drinking and talking animatedly as if they were already quite drunk. Then, the three of them started wrestling in our front room. I thought, you can't be serious. I finished my work in about 10 minutes and went downstairs. As soon as I did, they immediately settled down and told me they needed more alcohol and were going to the store. They were gone for about 20 minutes, and then her sister came through the door. I asked her where she was, and she just shrugged her shoulders. So I headed out the door, lit a cigarette on the porch, and looked for the vehicle, which I wasn't sure about since this was a townhome cul-de-sac with lots of visitors. It seemed like 10 minutes before they finally walked through the door, and she had this guilty look on her face. I asked her where she was and what she was doing. She said they were just talking in the car. He eventually left our house, and about a week later, I pretended to sleep on the couch. After about an hour of her going to bed, I sneaked up the stairs and burst into the room. She was texting and took the phone and buried it under her leg. I went up and snatched it out of her hands and opened it up. It said something about wishing he was there and holding her in his arms. I lost it. Over the course of the week, I looked at her bill and found there were 1,200 text messages to him. Her excuse this whole time was that he was just trying to get with her and she really enjoyed talking to him and that I was neglecting her, and so on. Another week goes by, and we have a couple of friends over. I am outside smoking with my wife when she asks me what happened between me and her after she kissed that guy in his car. My thought was if she wanted to keep this whole thing under wraps, why did she tell the wife they had a make-out session? I think it was merely another tactic to cover up the fact that she had been intimate with him in the car. A couple of years later, she told me she didn't love me. Me being the naive person I was thought, okay, this can be fixed. She sent me the song Slipknot, Snuff, and told me that's how she felt. In 2013, she started a new job. She had never been one to go out at night, but suddenly began having drinks on Fridays after work. She always invited me to join, but I declined as it would involve driving downtown. While nothing seemed particularly unusual, I couldn't shake the feeling that something might have been going on. Then, the devaluation of our relationship began. In 2018, she insisted on a family vacation, so we went camping in the NWUS. One night, while sitting around the fire, she unexpectedly said, "I would never prevent you from seeing your kids." I was taken aback and responded with a nonchalant, "Oh really? That's good to know." Later that year, around Christmas, we visited her office and played board games with her coworkers. During this time, she encouraged me to greet a male coworker of hers. I obliged and shook his hand, which was clammy and wet. I thought nothing of it at the time, other than finding it unpleasant. Things remained relatively calm until the new year of 2019. She began criticizing everything I did, from the way I chewed my food too loudly to baseless claims about my political beliefs. She also played a strange game where she would approach me while I was on the computer, only to run away when I tried to engage with her. One night, she asked me to drive our daughter somewhere, and I snapped at her, saying I was busy. This seemed to be the final straw for her. She expressed dissatisfaction with how I treated her and called it quits. On my birthday, I woke up to find her sitting and drinking coffee. She slowly looked up and wished me a happy birthday in a rather eerie manner, reminiscent of a scene from a horror movie. She didn't speak for the rest of the day. Eventually, she moved out of our bedroom and into the spare room downstairs. Throughout June, she remained distant and cold. I gave her space, but attempted to talk to her once, only to be met with her screaming as if someone was attacking her. She eventually left the house and got her own apartment, packing only her clothes and accusing me of cheating as she departed. When she first moved in, she excitedly called her brother on FaceTime, showing off her new place with a drink in her hand. He mentioned that she was acting carefree and not particularly upset about anything. As the months passed, we began the separation process. She became increasingly hostile and did everything in her power to complicate the sale of the house. She had around 50 boxes of belongings that she refused to sort through, claiming that I was trying to ruin her weekends. On the rare occasions she did come over, she abruptly left after an hour, leaving the kids behind, stating that she was too upset to stay. Eventually, I had to involve a lawyer to compel her to collect her belongings from the house. It took 3 months of cleaning and packing to get everything ready, and she would lose her temper every time I tried to deal with it before that. 2 years after our separation, she informed me that she was seeing someone. When I asked if it was someone we knew, she said no, and I accepted it. A year and a half later, my cousin messaged me about a baby on her Facebook. She had hidden the post from me. After some investigation, I found out that she had been with a co-worker named Polish and had even concealed her pregnancy from me. She sent an email to my mother accusing me of being abusive mentally, physically, and emotionally. Admittedly, I had my own issues in the relationship, and it was always a significant point of contention. She would often start fights, knowing that I would never back down. There were instances where physical altercations occurred, such as when I struck her in a fit of rage and another time when I defended myself from her attacks. I also attempted to cheat a few times, although nothing came of it, and she was aware of these incidents. Even now, she continues to gaslight me about various matters. I struggle to pay spousal support and child support and can't understand why she insists on making my life miserable despite moving on with a new partner and starting a new life. I'm in desperate need of some guidance. How do you like the story, my friend? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel together. Love you.